Welcome, everyone. Today I have a very special guest, and the guest is Andrea Hayley-Sankaran. Maybe you were lucky to see our interview from last time when we were talking about food, mood, and everything else like energy and how to eat really without feeling deprived. So if you didn't watch this interview with Andrea, I would highly encourage you do so. Today, we have a completely different subject, and it is for you if you are interested of learning more about the Ayurvedic perspective on rosacea. It's something that is dear to my heart because I am rosacea patient, and I'm intrigued to hear what Andrea will tell us today. We will cover a lot. So if you have paper and pen, I think that will be necessary because Andrea is wisdom, and I will try to today learn from her what is the Ayurvedic perspective on rosacea. So Andrea, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. It's so great to be here again with your community.
Yes, thank you. So these listeners, our listeners, are really rosacea patients that are trying their best to really heal or improve or reduce the symptoms, like the hot flushes, the red cheeks,
Mhm.
and they tried a lot already. And as I always say, that is not the one thing;
Mhm.
it's a puzzle,
Mhm.
creating the puzzle and really finding each piece and putting it into and then you with the last piece you can see the picture. So
Right.
it's complex, and that's why I'm happy to have you here today, because I think Ayurvedic view it's as well respect this, and I would love to learn more. So really, where you would like to start?
Yeah. Well, actually, I wanted to start maybe with a general understanding about Ayurveda and how it
Mhm.
looks at diseases, right? Signs and symptoms of disease are indicators of the disease process. And what we always want to do is look for the root causes.
Mhm.
And just taking a step back from that, there's this idea that the body has its own ability to heal. It has a self-healing mechanism. So a lot of the times we actually just want to get out of the way so that the body can heal itself. So often the cause of disease are actually things that we can just stop doing, right? Everyone's focused on doing, doing, doing.
Mhm.
And actually, that itself can be part of the problem from an Ayurvedic point of view. And the reason for that is toxins, right? The skin is a detox organ fundamentally. So we have three channels of elimination, right? We have urine, feces, and sweat. And the skin is the largest detox organ in the body. It's designed to eliminate toxins. It's eliminating toxins all day long, particularly through our sweat. And then we wash them away in the shower, right? That's the normal elimination channel. But when that sweat contains more toxins than
Mhm.
what the skin can actually manage, it burns the skin on the way out. And so, skin conditions like rosacea are actually evidence of toxins coming out on the skin. And your skin is fed by your blood. So, um, your skin is actually also considered to be a direct reflection of the quality of your blood. So, when toxins are coming out in the skin, we have to look at the quality of the blood and try to understand what's going on with the blood that it's getting these toxins and burning the skin.
Yeah, I love that how it's all connected, because we myself included, I was treating as ophthalmologist rosacea patient, and it's like, okay, here are antibiotics, here is the cream, here are the drops,
Mhm.
and we know now more. I don't want to point to dermatologists or ophthalmologists doing this work, because like this is what we trained to do and this is correct. Sometimes we do need antibiotics,
Yes,
sometimes we do need the steroid treatment,
much. Yeah.
but we are here to really exactly look for the root cause
Mhm.
and really understand our body better. And I love what you said, that body has to really kind of go away to that we can really heal. And that's
Yeah,
what I call, I think, surrender. Is
uh,
that you would, or
um,
it's a bit different?
I think that's different. When I hear surrender, I think of, well, I do think of acceptance.
Oh,
Acceptance is
acceptance.
part of surrender. I think that's important because we do need to face whatever it is that is happening. And maybe it's not always the answer to do something. Yeah, it's sometimes it's actually to do nothing or
Yeah.
to do less. Is that what you were thinking of there with surrender?
Yes, just not be, we think we can control everything,
Hmm.
but we really have such a small control. Like, we will not influence how our heart can beat. Yes, we can with the breathing a little bit
Mhm.
slower or faster, but it's our heart is beating if we want or not. So that's the healing potential of the body is there. And we detoxify all the time. Like, this is the body has potential to detoxify. So of course we can support the detoxification, right? We will talk about it later.
Mhm.
uh, and yes, and thank you for mentioning that. It's really, skin is the detox organ. That is one of the way how we can. That's why I always, this is one way. I think when I improve, I was just like doing the lymphatic drainage,
Mm.
that I put the toxins away that
Mhm.
can go really. I was supporting, I think, the flow of the lymph.
Mhm.
And yes, and I love, what I really liked was the how you basically came back to the gut and the food, actually, that you did mention. But it's what is in the blood at the end of the day, because the food we eat, we will metabolize it, and something we will absorb. The gut bugs will chew up the fiber, and
Mhm.
then they metabolize, go in the blood, and where goes the blood?
Right, the blood,
Everywhere, and to the skin as well. So
right.
it's like full circle. And
Mhm.
really everything matters, what we do to our body, what we eat, what we drink, and what we think, I think, as well, because the thoughts are strong. And if we stressed with our thoughts, that really actually can even not support the detoxification in our body. So it's like complex, but I like to really focus today on the Ayurvedic perspective and approach.
No,
But
everything you're saying is actually very Ayurvedic.
we can go on.
Doctor.
So what, I like for people that you from this conversation with you today, that they have like three things that they can like learn, and nothing complex, like in simple way. Maybe what are food, because I understood, I don't know if this is correct, but I understood that it's like type of Pitta,
Mm.
aggravating. Is it, would you agree that it's my, I know it's personalized and I want to keep it that way, but would you agree that it's like Pitta is usually the dosha in people who has rosacea?
Yeah, Pitta is not necessarily the dosha, but the dominant imbalance would be
That's a
considered,
difference. Okay.
yeah, Pitta. So, a Vata dominant person can still have this rosacea. And there's also a secondary element in rosacea that is attributed to kapha because, rosacea is a little bit more of a wet rash, right?
Mhm.
So that's the kapha is
Mhm.
the water and the pitta, and both pitta and kapha actually have the water element. And when that water element imbalances, it gets damp and sweaty. And so we're looking at actually a hot damp kind of heat, so hot from the fire of pitta and damp from the water. And that's actually a perfect segue to talk a little bit more about these toxins and how they get
Mhm.
there, because I think that
Mhm.
that's a really important tip for people. And also anyone who's, searching online about Ayurveda. The word for toxins in Ayurveda is ama, A-M-A, ama. And the classical understanding of ama in Ayurveda is an ancient system of healthcare from India. It traces back about 5,000 years, possibly 2 to 5,000, depending on who you ask. Um,
I like that.
I know, but it was recorded, a little over like 2,500 years ago. It was like written down,
Mhm.
and it's been kept this whole time. And it's a system that looks at the energetics of things. So when I talk about hot, that's an energetic or a quality, right? And then cold is another quality. So classically in Ayurveda, ama or toxins is actually associated with the cold type of toxin. It's when your metabolism or your digestion isn't strong enough, it's weak, and it's not fully metabolizing the food, and the food ferments in your digestive tract, and it stagnates. It stagnates there, and it becomes sticky and cloudy and heavy, kind of like an excess of mucus. Think of it that way: cold, sticky, heavy. That is the first stage of toxin creation in the body. But what happens when those toxins stick around and don't get eliminated, right? Then they actually putrefy further, and they start to overwhelm and disturb the liver. And the liver starts to stagnate because the liver is the filter for everything that happens. Everything you take in goes through your digestive tract, and then it gets filtered in the liver. And when the liver starts to get overwhelmed by those cold, sticky, heavy toxins, the liver starts to heat up. And the liver then, when it's hot, transforms those toxins actually into hot, sharp, Pitta type toxins. And now we have hot, sharp toxins circulating in the body. And that has a different name called ama visha. And visha means poison, poison toxins, hot, poisonous toxins. So they go from cold toxins to hot toxins. And it's the hot toxins that burn right on the way out. And so that is kind of why, in Ayurveda, there's actually 6 steps of the disease process. And so we look at those like initial stages, like those first signs of indigestion, right? A little bit of burping, a little bit of excess gas, a little bit of things just not right. And then if we don't take care of those, they progress, right? They get into, now maybe we're looking at the Pitta signs like hyperacidity, excess heat, flushing, diarrhea, loose stools. So things change actually as things progress. So when we have these hot toxins, now we're looking at something like rosacea as they're burning on the way out. And so to take care of that, you have to like step it back, right? We have hot toxins coming from hot blood, coming from a hot liver. And at the beginning, when things weren't digesting well, maybe there was some gut dysbiosis, right? Why did the initial cold toxins get created? What was not happening well there? So we have to step it back and take care of all 3 of those areas. And changing the diet is a great place to start. And then that kind of brings us back to Pitta. So a Pitta pacifying diet is mostly what you want to do. So if anyone here is watching and they're looking up Ayurveda and they want to look for Pitta pacifying, those would be some good principles to follow. A Pitta pacifying diet is going to ask you to emphasize some cooling foods, like cucumber and cilantro and fruits. Sweet and sour fruits have a good cooling quality. Little bit of astringency, so things like cranberries and pomegranates and grapes are both sour and astringent to kind of tone and tamp down inflammation, to bring down heat. So the cooling tastes are actually bitter and astringent and sweet, but the bitter and astringent would be most helpful in this case. This is cooling, but we actually talked about sugar before we got on this call. You want to make sure that you're not overdoing the sweet taste, and you want to make sure that your sweet taste is, very high quality, like complex carbohydrates, nuts, seeds, meats, nuts, seeds, meats, grains, as everyone knows, Dairy, most dairy, and a lot of vegetables are sweet. So in Ayurveda, there's this massive understanding of sweet. And to balance that sweet, you want to be sure that you're including the bitter and the astringent and a little bit of the pungent. And sour usually isn't a problem. Sour and salty are probably tastes you want to minimize in rosacea because they add dampness to the body. But all of this you still want to individualize, is you want to understand the individual, what's happening with them. So I'm giving you like a general approach, which would be Pitta pacifying. And just the other side of that Pitta pacifying would be minimizing another huge source of toxins, which are the external source of toxins, those that we're taking in, through the steroidal creams, potentially, through the pharmaceuticals, even nutraceuticals. And I really want to underline this for everyone, that those nutraceuticals produced in a lab are very concentrated synthetic substances often. And those particular substances are taken through the mouth. So anything taken through the mouth has to be metabolized and processed through the liver. Remember when I said doing less is sometimes the answer? It's really important to take a look at one's consumption of, vitamins and supplements, well as the pharmaceuticals, and also what's in the diet and what's going on the skin and the personal care products. All of these are sources that are potentially harmful for the liver. Your liver's hot and angry, you really want to watch out for these things and minimize them. And so there's actually, in Ayurveda, there's this incredible approach that's being developed out of a particular school of a kind of homeopathic Ayurvedic herbal approach, where there's herbal nectar drops and there's transdermal creams and oils that can actually deliver the herbal medicine through the skin rather than, through the mouth. And the herbal nectar drop is through the mouth, but it's very, very subtle. Right? It's very subtle. And oftentimes that's actually what people need. You have to be really, really gentle in this approach.
Wow. So I would like to unpack this. It's wonderful. It's so much information. I think people are really writing down. I hope you're writing down, because it was a lot of good information here. And I have already one question, Andrea. It's very interesting because you said that, you mentioned the 6 step to disease, and you mentioned the first one, indigestion, right? And I can tell you that very often the rosacea patient, they have IBS. So it's already kind of
more advanced. Would be a more advanced stage.
And a lot of patients as well have gut dysbiosis. They even can develop SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And so this is something that we really have to heal the whole body and not only the skin. And that makes perfect sense. And can I ask, what are the other steps? You said indigestion and the gut dysbiosis is step 2, or is it too complicated to explain in this session? I guess.
No, I think I can. So think of it in terms of those qualities or energetics that I spoke about. So think about heat, for example. So what happens is we have an accumulation of a quality in the body, and the accumulation of the quality always starts in the digestive tract, according to this disease process. So digestion is always the root cause, pretty much.
Which is what Hippocrates said as well. He was not Ayurvedic practitioner, but he was on the other side of the planet. But he said all diseases begins in a gut. So
that is the Ayurvedic view. So what happens is an imbalance of a particular quality starts to accumulate in the digestive tract. And then in a normal process, it would alleviate. But if we keep doing the things that are causing that accumulation, maybe it's the wrong diet, then it provokes. So the second stage is provocation. So now there's there's an enhancement of the signs and symptoms there. And then what happens is, because of the provocation, another dosha comes in. Usually another quality will come in. So let me give you an example. So the whole body is lined with mucus. Our digestive tract is lined with a protective coating of mucus. That's to protect us from the hot, sharp digestive enzymes that exist in our digestive tract. And to protect the lining, right? So that the things that we take in that are unprocessed don't get through into general circulation. That's what happens with leaky gut. So with leaky gut, what happens is there's inflammation. So what happens first is the lining might thin, right? So that lining is kapha and it thins. And then when it thins, it is subject to irritation, and inflammation. And that's the next dosha coming in with the irritation and the inflammation. And then once that happens, vata comes in with the energy of mobility, and it spreads. So when I describe leaky gut, that's an example of a spread out of the digestive tract into the blood. Right. And then once it's in the blood, so spread is phase 3, then it circulates and it's going to deposit somewhere in a weak spot in your body. And for rosacea patients, that's happening, on the face or the skin. So it's depositing there and it's manifesting, right? We can now see very clearly that the tissues have changed in their nature. And it's actually in stage 5 manifestation that modern medicine recognizes the disease. Oh,
hey,
there it is. Right? You can do tests and you can actually identify it. So and then the 6th stage is complications. So, that's, in modern medicine, there's complications and risk factors, like what's the next thing. So those are the 6 stages. And so it's very interesting, right? The power of something like Ayurveda as a preventative medicine to take care of those, initial stage problems in the digestive tract and in the blood, right? So stage 1 is generally in the digestive tract, then it moves into the blood, then it moves into the tissues, and then it becomes systemic. So if I break it down into 4 stages.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This is very helpful for people because they're really trying hard and they now understand they have to look in the gut for the answer, but it can be even before the gut starts, but it can be IBS, it can be anything else that is linked to the gut, maybe just food sensitivity or something else, or flushing. That anyway, that's something that we can.
I can make one more point for you that I think is really interesting. So in stage 1, when things are accumulating and you might feel like off, right? You just might feel a little off. And at that stage, what's fascinating is that your natural inclination will be to do the thing or eat the thing that will restore balance. But what happens when you get to stage 3 with the spread is that your natural inclination might actually be the opposite. It might actually be the thing that continues to create the imbalance. And that just goes to show it's so fascinating because the personal responsibility in Ayurveda is a big thing, right? We actually assign a sense of responsibility to the individual for making kind of wrong choices or choices against one's better instinct or against one's nature, right? Whenever we stay up too late and we say, oh, I know I'm supposed to go to bed at 10 o'clock, but I keep staying up until midnight, right? That's a cause of disease right there that we ourselves do, against our better nature. So many times we're doing these things without knowing. Absolutely. But many times we do know and we do them anyways. And so when this repeats, then that becomes the habit. The thing that is causing the problem is the habit, the thing that's natural and normal for us. And I highlight that because it's such a problem, right? That behavior pattern is such a problem and we have to break it, right? We have to break it with knowledge, with information, with
Mhm.
insight, with self-love and self-worth,
Mhm.
even to say that I deserve to get better.
Mhm.
And because of
Mhm.
that, I'm going to do the hard work to understand
Mhm.
how to
Mhm.
do things differently. And I'm going
Mhm.
to change my behavior because habit is that it's something we don't think about. We just do it over
Mhm.
and over again.
Yeah.
So if we're
Mhm.
doing the wrong things and we're doing them over and over again, then
Mhm.
that's how the accumulation and the thing,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I really can't agree more. And I really like what you said, that I know I'm supposed to go to bed at 10, but
Yeah,
I go at 12.
right.
And we know that can cause harm when we do it second night,
Yeah,
second year,
over and
second decade, but
over.
we're still doing it. And it's the consciousness of, and you as well mentioned the self-love, which is really big chapter in rosacea, because that the disease is on the face and is very visible.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, when I looked really bad,
Mm,
I could not look at the mirror
mm,
unless I did a little bit of work and really accept myself and see, okay, this is information for the body that something is completely off.
mm.
And I was really able to kind of embarrass me, like, oh my gosh, you need this needs love. You
It's a
need
good
love.
thing. Yeah, I try to see every sign or symptom, and I tell people this, that it's a
Hmm.
good thing. It's
Yes.
your body telling you
Hmm.
that there's something imbalanced
Yes.
there, right?
Hmm.
It's a cry for your
Help.
attention
Yeah.
and help
Hmm.
to bring yourself back into balance
Hmm.
to even better and
Hmm.
more,
Hmm.
radiant health when you do those things. And of course, we need to find the help. We need to find the guide,
Hmm.
someone to help us to get
Hmm.
there. Um,
Hmm.
but it is a good thing. Like you can totally turn these things around and
Yes.
you will be so much stronger and more
Mhm.
empathetic.
Yes.
You'll build your character. If everything was wonderful all the time, right? Like we wouldn't actually be encouraged to strive for better things and more meaningful things and even spiritual things because I think
Mm.
that faith plays a role in this very
Mhm.
much. So
Yeah. As well, the level of consciousness, like
yeah.
again, I use my own example. Before and after this rosacea event that I had, it's uncomparable. I would just keep going and
Mm.
blindly just living my life. And
You-
then you just have this. So
yeah.
it's a gift, I would say, everyone, that, the better scenario will be conscious, walking consciously without the disease. But
Yes,
sometimes we just have
if we're
this.
not there yet, then
Like,
this is your
wake up.
this is your kick in the butt.
Yeah. So everybody's watching them. You might say, "Oh, what are you talking about? I don't like the picture in the mirror in the morning." Say, "No, you have to start loving this because it's you, and
So
it's just now. It needs love, and as you said, cry for care, cry for help. That's what it is, and we
important.
can only grow from here." And I always say to people that, be happy you have rosacea, it's something visible. I'd rather have this instead of something growing inside that I can't tell
So
what it is. I
great.
can't see. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah. So thank you for that.
And you are and you are the guide, right? Everyone here in your community has you as the guide. So you're set. Just follow what it says.
Follow your gut, listen to your heart, and use your brain.
Yeah.
So I like to just talk a little bit, few minutes we still have, about
Yep.
the Pitta pacifying diet.
Mhm.
Is that the correct name?
Yep. Yep.
So interesting that you mentioned cucumbers, because I can feel even now I kind of am symptom free.
Mhm.
Cucumber was something that I would put on my face when I would have the lesions that
Mhm.
were really inflammatory. And
Yeah.
I can tell you, because you are experienced with turmeric, which some people, they don't tolerate turmeric. But
Yeah.
what I did was I put just powder
Mhm.
uh, on my hand, put a little bit of water, and then
Mhm.
I just put it on my face.
Mm.
And it was miracle. I could see how I was yellow. That was only downside, but I
Yeah.
could see how the inflammation just disappeared, and it was just crust at the end. and the healing speed up so like really fast. Can you share, because I saw somewhere on the social media that you use turmeric
Oh
mask,
gosh.
but you use different ones. So if it's not secret, you can
Oh,
share it.
yes,
Or
yes.
something
I know what
that
you're referring to.
people can use on the face, something, because I think it's very soothing, calming.
Yeah. Actually, so turmeric works because it's anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, it's, antifungal, it's like anti-everything.
Yeah.
And but it is heating.
Yeah.
And so you said some people can't tolerate that. So
Mhm.
let's go to the other side. The thing that
Mhm.
I had on my face on social media was actually a mixture, I think, of sandalwood and turmeric
Ah.
and sandalwood. If you've ever experienced sandalwood on your skin, it is incomparable. It is
Wow.
peerless in its cooling quality. It is amazing. So, if people can get their hands on some sandalwood powder, something really pure, um, you can mix it with turmeric or not, but that is, oh, it is cooling and soothing. I actually had a massive blister. I was I was gardening, and I was doing a repetitive motion, and suddenly this massive chunk of skin came off my hand. It was
Mhm.
really big, and I was in so much pain. And my husband took some sandalwood, actual wood that he had, and he has this it's like a mortar and pestle situation, and
Oh.
he made the
Mhm.
powder, and he mixed it with the water, and he came and he packed it into my wound, and the pain went away immediately. And prior to that, I had tried a really good quality aloe vera that
Mhm.
burned. I had tried turmeric that burned, put the sandalwood, and it was just instantly
Oh,
instantly soothed.
I tried that sandalwood
Yeah,
powder.
good.
If I found a link for people in Europe, I will put it underneath the video. But
Yeah.
um, that's amazing. Thank you for this tip, and
Yes.
something I learned. Because I love aloe vera. I used to buy in Europe before we moved to US. I used to buy one leaf for 32 euros, which is around $30. And then
Wow.
we moved to New Jersey, and the leaf was there for $1 in supermarket. I was like, I'm in heaven.
Wow. So you found
Because
that aloe vera worked really well too.
yes,
It
it
is
was
nice.
very soothing for me. But again, I know that people out there here in this group as well, they can't tolerate aloe vera because it's too astringent.
There you go. There you go.
And
Yeah, I
so,
I I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I tried all those things and everything was still burning. I was like, "Ee."
uh-huh.
I think I tried all coconut oil as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that too. And it was only the sandalwood.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay. And now actually something came to my mind. What is Ayurvedic view on the essential oils? This is
hmm.
something that they don't talk about much, or
No, it is part of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is this massive science, and it does include like crystal therapy and color therapy and scent
Mhm.
therapy. All of it is included. There's even surgery and
Mhm.
pediatrics. It's quite a
Mhm.
broad science. We
Mhm.
focus a lot in the West on the diet and the lifestyle practices, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And it has a vast herbal, practice as well. But essential oils, so how do you use essential oils for rosacea? Because the only thing I want to say is they're very concentrated, right? And
Mhm.
therefore potentially irritating, right?
Yes.
You never want to put that concentrated oil on your skin. And even sometimes when it's highly diluted, it's still too strong or too powerful.
Mhm.
So
Yes,
careful.
very good. So because I had a conversation with another person about this, and just briefly we were talking about essential oils, and she mentioned tea tree oil,
Hmm.
which in very small concentration. So
Hmm.
it's something that I never tried,
Yeah.
and it just came to my mind. So it's not something that we can explore today because I really want to focus on the Pitta pacifying diet a little bit more. But yeah, I think I would agree that you have to be very gentle. Basically, it's so many toxins already coming in and are in,
Yeah.
and we don't want to aggravate something to even if it can be just the lavender, which can be kind of,
Mhm.
it can be too much sometimes,
Yep.
because I know that there are people who can have a parasite, people, and then there's a toxicity in the body. People can live in the mold and they're not even aware of that.
Yeah.
That can be, it's so many triggers as well. Fast food, all these fried in a bad oils, of
Mhm.
course sugary foods, that's kind of, we don't need to talk about that, that's obvious.
Yeah.
But if you mentioned cucumber, cilantro, and fruits, and pomegranate, and something bitter, would be like, is the pomegranate bitter and sweet, the type, this is the type, or it's different fruit, bitter and sweet?
Pomegranate is,
Astringent
sour
and
and
sweet.
astringent. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay, so
astringent. So,
mhm.
yeah, so the most cooling taste is bitter. And bitter is just cooling, and it's drying. It has a little drying quality,
Mhm.
and it's also very helpful for peristalsis and relieving congestion because it just gets things moving because it's so
Mhm.
light and it's so dry and
Mhm.
it's so mobile
Mhm.
also. And then astringent is gonna be drying mostly. So astringent is a taste a lot of people get confused by. So what is astringent? Astringent is lettuce.
Mm.
Astringent is cranberry and
Mhm.
pomegranate and the skins on the grapes, right? So when you
Mhm.
put something astringent, and it's also the tannins in black tea and green tea, right?
Mhm.
So green tea is another thing that can be helpful for some people
Yeah.
because of the astringency. And that
Mhm.
could make a really light, that might make a nice light mask potentially.
Mhm.
I'm not an expert in this, but know that that has astringency. And so when you have something astringent, it kind of dries and it's rough. It can be rough in excess, right? So you
Mhm.
don't want to overdo astringent. You only want
Yes.
a little bit of it. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, very little bit. And then
Yeah.
the sweet taste is also, it's interesting to note that it's cooling, right? Sweet
Mhm.
things are actually overall cooling. And the key is to just not overdo it to the point where it's, dampening. Because it also has the heavy quality. It's like
Yeah.
cool and heavy, whereas bitter is cooling and light, and astringent
Mhm.
is cooling, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
except in
Mhm.
excess, astringent is also going to be heavy because it dries and hardens things. That's why you don't want too much of it because it's
Mhm.
going to be
Oh,
hardening.
that's fascinating how it's like everything again, balance, right? That's
Exactly.
balance.
And
Yeah.
and sour too. Let me mention that, right? Sour is a secretagogue. It increases digestive juices, which is
Mhm.
why a lot of people feel that it's helpful for
Mhm.
encouraging digestion, like have a little bit of apple cider in the water. But
Yeah.
then, or lemon, right? But
Mhm.
people take that to excess as well.
Mhm.
So if you get too much a sour, it actually again congests and hardens. So a
Mhm.
little bit of sour is good. Too much is
Mhm.
not good. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of people, they actually, in this community, I hope anyway, after me talking about it so much,
Mhm.
so many times, about the lukewarm lemon water in the morning, with really just few drops of lemon,
Right.
not the whole half, because it will be just too much.
Right.
But
Good.
this is something that, I always start my morning, and I can't imagine not doing it, because I would feel it
It's very
like.
helpful. Yeah, you're wakening up your digestive organs in the morning
Mhm.
after their long,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And just being gentle with
Mhm.
yourself. So,
Mhm.
some basic principles in Ayurveda
Mhm.
are,
Mhm.
have a breakfast according to your appetite, and we would
Mhm.
say according to your dosha. Like I would
Mhm.
say you don't have to follow strict rules.
Yeah.
People have different types of breakfast.
Mhm.
That's the Ayurvedic view.
Mhm.
And then make lunch your largest meal of the day
Yeah.
because your digestion is the strongest at lunchtime.
Mhm.
You can
Mhm.
handle it. And this can be a massive, habit and lifestyle shift
Mhm.
for people. And
Mhm.
then what happens, and take some rest after you eat, right? You take care of
Mhm.
rest and digest and all of this. And then supper then can be a much lesser, smaller affair. than we typically have in the West. So lunch is the bigger meal,
Mm-hmm.
is the smaller meal.
Mm-hmm.
This will really help to regularize and fix most
Mm-hmm.
digestive tracts. I do
Mm-hmm.
want to avoid snacking in between unless you're somebody who tends to be deficient and, um, high energy, and really is always hungry. That would be like a Vata type. But for most people, avoiding snacking is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Gives that break, right? So 3 meals a day, no snacks is Ayurveda's intermittent fasting. And
Wonderful.
that regularizing of meal, like eating at the same time every day, is so critical. It's like step number 1, right, in any Ayurvedic treatment, because your digestive system is a fire that's burning and it needs regular fuel to burn optimally, right? If you don't feed it, it can burn out of control or it can actually dampen depending on the individual. And just
Yeah.
regular fire is what actually helps the metabolism to work well.
Mm-hmm.
Regular
Mm-hmm.
feeds,
Yeah,
regular.
yeah.
So
We
many,
know that as well from modern science. That's what you explaining and describing. This is exactly what was proven as well now recently, with the circadian rhythm, how the body, you can really, if you do that, what you're saying, the body will ask for it like on a
it
minute.
gets those resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then you're free for that
Yes.
rest and restoration and healing overnight, right? Your body's not bogged down with the food.
Mm-hmm.
Happening. So this is
Mm-hmm.
like this is supporting the body's natural healing processes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Steps number 1, just get that in place and you're already halfway there to the
Mm-hmm.
solution.
Oh,
Or
beautiful. Beautiful. So I would like to ask you now, because we know we talk about that the rosacea is most of the time it's excessive buildup of toxins.
Mhm.
And I know that you are running some programs that are focusing on detox. Can you share with us what it is, and if people like to join, what it is, and yeah, share just some more so they have a chance to join.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to detox, actually, I'm really glad we're discussing this because a lot of people who realize they have toxins say, "Oh, I got to get those toxins out right away, now, and as fast as possible." Right? So they go take some boot camp, detox program where they're, drinking, cups of celery juice every day or beet juice or this or that. And and those are really dangerous. Don't do that. People don't do that. Because the truth is it's really easy to draw toxins out of the tissues, but it's not so easy to eliminate them from the body safely. Right. And so Ayurveda has this incredible wisdom about detox where it's taking care of the safe removal of toxins, because when those toxins are hot and sharp, they can burn you anywhere. Like you mentioned seeing on the skin, but they burn you internally
Mhm,
as well,
mhm,
cause
mhm,
real damage. So that's
mhm,
why I say don't.
mhm,
So Ayurveda has a traditional cleanse, and that's the other thing is timing, right? Cleansing is recommended in the spring and the fall when the temperatures are um, neutral, right? Not too hot, not too cold. It's a time of transition. It's a time when the body's already um, naturally trying to detox. So in the spring, we're coming out of the winter hibernation. The body's built up an extra fat layer in the tissues. And in the spring, when the sap starts running out in nature, that fat literally dumps into our blood, making it richer. And the toxins stored in the fats, which is where they're mostly stored, move into the blood and they're circulating, right? So that's the time to do the cleanse. And so every year I offer a spring cleanse. I do it in the fall as well. It's a 2-week cleanse. And during the cleanse, you are eating food. So there's a focus on nourishment along with detox. And there's individual approach for different doshas. And there's special methods where we actually oleate. It's called oleation, to protect the internal channels from burning. and is a very specific process that anyone can do. And so I offer full support for this. And I lead a group through, and we all do the cleanse, and everyone's been able to be successful at doing this and experiencing the safe removal of toxins, renewal of the liver, cooling of the blood, improvement in skin, a little bit of weight loss, although that's not the goal, often happens. And it just provides a digestive reset, again, at the right time. And then you're off to the races, right? We do eliminate certain foods during the cleanse, but there's a lot of foods that we can eat, including meat for those who are concerned about that. And then you have this fresh start. And so I've actually had men join their wives, do this cleanse, and just men typically will lose a lot of weight, and then they just can't believe, how good they feel, and that they have this opportunity now because they've realized that they can go for 2 weeks without coffee, that they can go for 2 weeks without sugar. And then that just opens up this beautiful, new direction for the diet in the spring. So it's a safe detox and reset and renewal that one could do.
Beautiful.
And even if they don't do it with me, Dr. Radka, I'm based in the US, I'm in New York, and my students are generally in North America. But they can look, if they're in Europe or somewhere else, they can look for an Ayurvedic practitioner who offers a traditional Ayurveda cleanse, because many do. So
very good. Thank you so much. We will have the link where they can join here underneath the video, so you can really click on it and explore and do the cleanse, because now is the time to do that.
Coming up. So we're going to be doing it in April, late April.
Right. Perfect timing. Excellent. So this was really, really wonderful to have you today. I think we learn a lot, and especially we really have to explore the idea that the skin is really detoxification organ, and it's a gift for us if we have a symptom, because that's, again, invite us to really have deeper conversation with our body, to put it back to the balance and really just listen.
I love that view. You're like, it's just, you're right. Perfect. Yes, everyone, you got this.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrea, and everybody. Explore the link and join the detox with Andrea. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye,
everyone.